Welcome to the Board of Education meeting. I want to welcome everyone that's here in the boardroom with us. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Tonight, we are using closed captioning on the YouTube live stream, so please speak clearly for those speaking during the meeting so the closed captions are as accurate as possible. And our first item is just the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I'm going to ask everyone in the boardroom to please stand with us and join us if you're able to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Juro fidelidad a la bandera de Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Thank you. I'd like to call for a moment of silence for all of our family members who have served our country, but also just a moment of silence in recognition of school starting up let's put out some good intentions for health and safety and well-being of our staff, our children, and our communities as we start the new school year. Thank you. Thank you. So, Ms. King, may I have a roll call, please?
Peggy Mueller-Aragon.
Here.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Here.
Barbara Peterson.
Here.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Here.
Josefina Dominguez.
Here.
Courtney Jackson.
Here.
Yolanda Montoya Cordova.
Here. Community members may attend the APS Board of Education meetings in person here at the Allison Bruce King Educational Complex located at 6400 Uptown Boulevard Northeast, or watch the live stream on the APS Board of Education YouTube channel. So our first order of business is adoption of the August 2nd, 2023 Board of Education meeting agenda and approval of the minutes from the July 19th, 2023 Board of Education meeting and the July 12th, 2023 Special Board of Education meeting work study on charter schools. I have a motion, please.
I move to adopt the August 2nd, 2023 Board of Education meeting agenda and approval of the July 19th and July 12th Board of Education meeting minutes and Special Board of Education meetings, respectively.
I'll second. And so it was a first from Board Member Dominguez and a second from Board Member Peterson. Ms. King, may I have a roll call, please?
Peggy Mueller-Aragon.
Yes.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Yes.
Barbara Peterson.
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Yolanda Montoya Cordova.
Yes. So our next item is public forum, and Secretary Jackson will share the instructions and lead us through public forum.
Welcome to our public forum guests. When you signed up to speak, you were asked to review the rules and expectations with our presiding officer, which our presiding officer will enforce. The New Mexico Open Meetings Act requires that our agendas specify in advance the items that will be discussed and voted on during the meeting. Therefore, public forum is not a dialogue among speakers and board members, but rather a chance to hear from our community. We will call participants to speak in the order they signed up, whether in person or virtual. Those here with us tonight will be asked to come to the microphone in the center aisle at the back of the room when your name is called. Online guests will stay in a virtual waiting room until it is their turn to speak. When it is your time, you will be escorted into the main meeting space. Please turn on your audio and video. Once your speaking time is up, you will be ushered back into the waiting room. When you are finished speaking, you may choose to leave the meeting and watch it on live stream. We have set aside 45 minutes for public forum. Because there are fewer than 22 speakers this evening, each of you will have 2 minutes to address the board. Please be concise and try not to repeat what others have said. Tonight, there are 4 speakers. Once your time is up, you'll be directed to complete your sentence quickly so that others may speak. You may not yield your unused time to another speaker. If we do not get to all the speakers tonight, or you feel you were unable to convey your message, you may email boarded@aps.edu. In addition, for those of you who are here tonight, a representative from our service center is here to assist you, and she's sitting in the back corner raising her hand. So at this time, Mr. Gonzalez, will you please introduce our speakers?
Thank you, Board Member Jackson. Our first speaker is in person.
So before we start, I just wanted to make a quick short announcement is that for the board members, we do have a couple of public forum speakers that are needing translation. And so we're probably going to give some grace for some time so that we can make sure that we can get a full translation in. So I just wanted to add that in. Okay. Thank you. You can go ahead and.
Thank you, ma'am. Our first speaker is, I believe it's Hilaria Pascual.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
Espera un momentito.
Try now.
1, 2, 3. I'm Sergio Albónico, your Spanish interpreter. Good evening. Buenas tardes. Soy su intérprete, Sergio Albónico González. La señora Hilaria va a leer. Miss Hilaria is going to read first her full statement, so we don't interrupt her. Okay. And then later she's going to give me her text in Spanish, and I will sight translate as best as I can. I have not seen it.
Okay.
So that's how we're going to do it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So, thank you. Buenas tardes a todos presentes. Soy Hilaria Martínez, madre de 4 estudiantes, 3 de ellas graduadas de la Escuela Washington. El día de hoy estoy aquí porque algunos padres nos hemos enterado de que APS está considerando invertir para expandir la Escuela Elemental Coronado hasta el 8º grado, la cual al parecer de lograrlo limitaría el acceso solo a sus estudiantes para continuar estudiando del 6º al 8º grado. Como madre de familia y parte del vecindario de San José, estoy preocupada de que los barrios alrededor de las escuelas y San José, Dolores González y la Washington se vean afectadas. ¿Quiénes están detrás de este proyecto de inversión? Es en la Escuela Washington donde necesitamos la inversión financiera y así continuar con programas como el programa bilingüe. Luchemos por invertir en esta escuela que sí ofrece la oportunidad de que todo aquel estudiante que quiere ingresar tenga la misma oportunidad de ser enrolado y continuar su educación. Los valores de los burqueños y familias nuevo-mexicanas van más allá de unos cuantos que quieren limitar el acceso a escuelas a estudiantes y familias, y no podemos correr el riesgo a que el acceso a la educación se vea limitada. Gracias.
Gracias, Hilaria. Good afternoon to all those who are present. I am Hilaria Martinez, mother of 4 students. 3 of them have graduated from the Washington Middle School. Today, I am here because there are some parents, we have found out actually that APS is considering investing to expand the elementary school called Coronado. All the way to the 8th grade, something that it seems that if it's done, it will limit the access only to students to continue studying from 6th to 8th grade. As a mother, I am part of the San Jose neighborhood. I am very worried that all those neighborhoods around the area and the schools in San Jose, Dolores González, and the Washington will be affected. Who is behind this project of investment? It's in the Washington Middle School where we need the investment, the financial investment, and then continue with the bilingual something like such as the bilingual program. Let's fight to invest in this school that it's actually offering the opportunity let's offer the opportunity to every student that wants to be part of the school. and that they will have the same opportunity to be registered and continue such education. The values of the Albuquerqueans and the New Mexican families go further than just a few that want to limit the access in any school to the families and students and their students, and we cannot take the risk that such access for education will see itself limited. Thank you.
Thank you.
¿Está bien así?
Our second speaker is Olga Santana.
¿Cómo lo vamos a hacer? ¿Vas a ir rondando en secciones?
Ok.
Perfecto.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Olga Santana. Soy madre de 4 niñas y al igual que la señora Hilaria, 3 han sido graduadas de la escuela Washington Middle School.
Good afternoon. I'm Olga Santana. I am a mother of 4 girls, just like Hilaria. 3 of them have graduated from Washington Middle School.
Próximamente me queda mi última niña para entrar a Washington, pero mi preocupación, al igual que la señora Hilaria, es sobre este proyecto.
Just like Miss Hilaria, right now I have 1 little girl that's going to initiate at Washington Middle School en el octavo, en el noveno, el octavo.
No, para entrar a la
She's going to enter Washington Middle School, and just like Miss Hilaria, I am worried about this project.
Ya que en la Washington, como en otras escuelas, hay tantas necesidades que creo que si ya se tiene un edificio, ¿por qué no invertirle a este?
Just like in other schools, you know, if we already have a building, why not invest in the building that we already have?
Hacen mucha falta los maestros. Mis hijas siempre han batallado que llegan maestros sustitutos y nunca reciben la educación de calidad como se lo merecen todos los niños de Nuevo México.
My daughters have been sacrificed because there's been a lot of changes in the faculty, that's substitute teachers, etc. And they had to go through all that, and their education has been affected. So why go through that like it happens in other schools as well?
Otra de las cosas, los edificios necesitan muchos arreglos. Muchos niños están en salones, en aulas tan calientes o tan frías que es imposible concentrarse para poder estudiar.
It is impossible for the students to focus in their education when some of the classrooms are extremely hot or extremely cold. And so we know that a lot of the buildings need to be remodeled or improved to avoid such thing.
¿Por qué no invertir mejor en estas escuelas que ya están capacitando más maestros, brindando más útiles, mayores programas? Hemos batallado con el programa de mariachi, que porque no había fondos, es lo que nos dicen en las escuelas, que APS siempre nos dicen así.
Why not invest in the schools that are already working, that are struggling to make some of these programs work? For example, the mariachi program that we've been told that there are no funds, etc. So why not invest in these programs that are already we're trying to start and improve?
Creo que el programa bilingüe es muy importante para todos nuestros niños. Como lo he escuchado, cuando uno tiene el dominio de 2 idiomas, 3 idiomas, valemos por eso. Entonces, yo quiero hacerles la petición de que piensen bien acerca de este proyecto e invertir en las escuelas que ya existen. Y nosotros, porque me considero parte de la Washington y de otras escuelas de la zona, son los niños bien recibidos de donde vengan.
So I would like to plead with you to please consider investing in our school and our bilingual program. It's so important. It's such a great thing when people are able to speak two or three languages. Why not invest in that? So please consider this evening. I'm here, you know, as a parent, as a mother, hoping that you would look at that.
Creo que todos nuestros niños en Nuevo México merecen recibir una educación de calidad y por eso yo pido que piensen e inviertan en las escuelas que ya están y pues gracias por escuchar y pues gracias a todos.
Thank you for listening to me tonight and all of you as well. You know, why not invest in the schools that are already working? And so again, I plead with you to please reconsider and think about this. All the students in New Mexico deserve to have a great education. Why not work together towards that? And
Thank you.
so much for allowing me to make my presence.
Thank you. All right, our next in-person speaker is Renee Pacheco. You have 2 minutes, ma'am, once you begin speaking.
Good evening. My name is Renee Pacheco, and I'm here on the account of 3 bills that have recently gone into our books. They were quietly passed in effective July 1st. They are HB 7, HB 397, and SB 13. They are allowing minors to access to receive abortions or transgender interventions without parental notification. The teachers, the counselors, the nurses at school will be able to refer any student to have abortions, to have transgender alterations. This is called gender affirming care. It includes puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and surgical procedures. They are school-based clinics. They will have the authority to provide these medications and refer surgeries to students, including abortions. The puberty blockers that are given to these students are not FDA approved for gender affirming care. Their side effects are thinning and brittle bones, teeth that shed enamel or cracked, degenerative spinal discs, painful joints, radical mood swings, seizures, migraines, suicidal thoughts. Fibromyalgia can be caused by it. Fertility problems can result. Cognitive issues can also result. The drug Lupron, which is a puberty blocker, has been known to cause psychiatric problems, brain swelling, and vision problems. These should not be given to minors without parental concern, involvement. You should be able to notify the parent, and they should be partners. Other treatments are available for these, and they should be presented in that way. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And our last speaker this evening is Isaac Garcia. Isaac, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, good evening. My name is Isaac Garcia. I am a product of Albuquerque Public Schools bilingual programs, transferring into East San Jose Elementary School, transferring into Washington Middle School, and then attending Albuquerque High School, where I earned 3 bilingual seals, which I accredit to the bilingual programs at both East San Jose and Washington. I am here to advocate for Washington Middle School's bilingual program, as it is fundamental to its feeder schools, to its community, and to its students, both neighborhood and transfer. And many of those students are now going on to high school and to other higher forms of education. Washington Middle School, their bilingual program is a necessity, as it provides students, many from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, the tools to succeed in a much larger and more competitive educational environment in high school, comprised of students from all backgrounds. Washington Middle School's feeder schools, some of them do have bilingual programs. So how does it make sense to take away the program that bridges the opportunities provided at the elementary and high school level? I want to end today by, I guess, pleading you guys to keep Washington Middle School's bilingual program and supporting it. There really is no need to revoke or take away resources from an already spread thin school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. And board members, that is the conclusion of public forum.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to all of our speakers for coming tonight and sharing your thoughts and concerns with us. And we're going to continue on with our agenda. So just really appreciate you taking time out of your schedules tonight. Okay, so our next item, and this is for the audience. One of the things that the district is doing is we're focused on student outcomes focused governance. And we're going to continue with this, and we're going to actually have this at the first of our agenda tonight, and a commitment that we're making as a district to be focused on the work that we're doing to improve student outcomes. Tonight, actually, the first item that we have is our self-evaluation as a board. We are committed to doing this on a quarterly basis, and this is an opportunity for us also to take a look at the work that we've done to date and where we are. So I just want to I just kind of want to preface a little bit of what it is. So I have to put my glasses on. So we're using a rubric that is given to us by the Council of Great City Schools, and the framework for the student outcomes focused governance is built around 6 research-informed competencies that describe school board behaviors and the degree to which we create the conditions for improvement in student outcomes. And those competencies are vision and goals, values and guardrails, monitoring and accountability, communication and collaboration, unity and trust, and continuous improvement. So we're looking at each of those components and how we're setting the conditions to do that. So the board has made a commitment to our own professional development and the work that we have to do in order to set those conditions so that we could have some success as we're moving along. So I'm going to ask for each of the board members. One of the things that we had to do, part of our homework, was to look at our rubric and our evaluation tool. I know that I had some difficulty using the one online. Some of you may have not, because I'm just struggling with the whole Google, but we did put it on the dais for everyone. And so it's just looking at this. And if you recall, what we have to do is we have to kind of go through each of those sections and say what kind of points we want to give ourselves, or not so much points, but where we felt like we're making progress. This is always a great opportunity for a social worker like me to say, how do we use this also to be reflective? I really want us to use an opportunity to be reflective around the work that we've done, but also to be honest with each other as we're on the dais too, of the areas that we're struggling with. If you've got like some personal concerns and places where maybe we are struggling and we still need some additional coaching or we need some additional work, I'm interested in your thoughts on that as well. So I guess, I'll just open it up. If you recall, I think last time we still had 0 points. I believe we were still at 0 points, which is, it doesn't mean that we haven't accomplished good things. So if we're looking first at vision and goals, I don't know if someone would like to just take a stab at where you think we are on that, and what are some of the accomplishments that you feel like we've done on this one?
I'll take that.
Okay.
I think we've actually moved to 10 to 10 points. Because I think what was holding us back last time was the interim goals. We still hadn't adopted interim goals. Or sorry, the superintendent had still not adopted interim goals in collaboration with the board. And so I think that now we are there. So that kind of combines with the next blurb that the status of each interim goal is able to be updated multiple times. And I think the presentation that especially Dr. Bowman gave last time kind of delineates how it can be updated multiple times. So I think that we have made improvement up to 10 full points on the vision and goals section.
How do the other board members feel about that?
I gave it 10.
I gave it as a 10 as well. I think we did get them posted too. So the board we publicly posted our goals for the public. And so we did that prior to adoption, but we also have them on online and on a web page. So we definitely have made those available and they're out there. Is there anyone that disagrees with that? Feels like we've not accomplished that area. So no struggle there. Anybody else?
I only had I underlined it. I think we accomplished it, but it's, I think, that the status of each interim goal is able to be updated multiple times during each year. How, I'm just curious how the others interpreted that.
Well, I interpreted it, and I'm looking at Dr. Bowman if he wants to correct me on this, but I believe that when the goals were presented, it was beginning, middle, end of year. So that was like multiple times throughout the year that we were going to be updated. Plus we have the, didn't we just get a calendar? We just got a progress monitoring calendar that everything is outlined very specifically over the next 5 years, how everything is going to be monitored. So I had full faith in the ability that it was monitored multiple times.
Okay.
I think the only one for me that still it hangs me up a little bit is on the SMART goals, measuring the population starting point and an ending point, starting date and an end date, only because we don't have a real true measure just yet. We're still on X's and Y's. So that one just, it calls to my mind that we're still not quite there because it's not clear to the community. We say we're going to grow a certain percentage, but we don't have there. I didn't ding us on it because I think we're making great progress to that because we're waiting on some information, but I know we're real close. And Dr. Bowman has he's nodding his head yes, because I think we're going to get really close there on ways ahead. But we've made some really good progress around that. And that was the only one that just kind of left me. I mean, if I was like going to hold ourselves to true fidelity, I mean, it made me a little nervous, but I think for the most part, this is the area on the vision and goals. I think that we've done a really good job of being really clear in articulating those and really getting those out and, down all the way into the classroom. All right. We can move along then. Let's move on to values and guardrails. How does anyone else on the board, how did you score us here?
I have us as a 5. 5, yeah.
It's sort of the same concerns that you expressed in the previous one.
Yeah, but I really felt like we've made some accomplishment there too. Board Member Gonzalez, so you agree on that in terms of a 5 in that area?
Same.
Okay. All right. And again, the values and the guardrails, we're real explicit on some guardrails, making sure that they're understood. And we're going to be spending a whole lot more time because our next presentation after this is about the community engagement, but how we're going to continue this process of making sure that we're communicating that piece. Now, I just want to remind everyone that's watching and in the audience is that this is the work of the board. We're responsible for getting all of this done. And so we have spent a good amount of time, about over a year, basically getting input, looking at this and coaching ourselves up through this process so that we could make sure that we're going through and we're getting these things done. So we'll move on to the next one, monitoring and accountability. Board Member Mueller-Aragon, he was like,
I mean, mine was like between a 0 and a 10. If we could give it that's what I would do.
And we can't, right?
Can't. So then I would go.
Do you want to describe why it's still a 0?
I just think that we don't know yet that we are investing 10% of the time. I just don't think that we know that for sure. We're just starting. And as far as, receiving monitoring reports, we have got one, but that's not reports. So if you take it as plural, then I'd say those would be a couple that I would, that's why I would probably have to give it a 0, even though I put it like a 5.
How about the rest of the
tried?
I agree.
I tried.
Yeah, I was kind of in that same spot as well, because what the good parts are is that we have adopted a monitoring calendar. So we have made some progress and our monitoring calendar does span the length of our goals and our guardrails. I mean, so it's definitely for the next 5 years. I don't know, if I was a staff member, I'd be really happy about that because you kind of know when it's your turn. So I think that makes it really simple for us to start to anticipate when something's going to come up. But it also helps the public anticipate when a particular goal or guardrail is going to be discussed and when we're going to be going over that. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, those in the audience or those that are listening, it is posted so you can see when we're going to monitor a specific goal or guardrail. So we have agreement, I think, on a 0 there. Okay, good. Communication and collaboration. How about Board Member Tapia Romero? What are your thoughts on this one?
I probably am still at a 0.
Mm-hmm.
This one too.
Mm-hmm.
I am on a 0.
I want to say anything that we've accomplished?
Well, like, I guess when it talks about like all consent to eligible items were placed, like we attempted to do that. And then we obviously have to make some adjustments, on the consent calendar. Like we have the goal setting and we're reviewing it, but I think there's just a lot of disconnect on some of these other areas that we haven't followed through completely just yet.
Well, I think it's something that I think we've done well, that we're so about receiving the final version of materials in advance. I think that the staff and the board services have done really well on getting us the material in advance. And I think it's a process, but we're getting much better at sending in our questions in advance and reviewing everything timely. So I think that first, it's still in the 0 section, but I think that that's something that we've done well, and we're getting better all the time. So
what a
but we're still
difference
0.
that has made. I know for, I guess the person who's been on the board, what a difference that has made for us to get materials way in advance, because it gives us an opportunity to do our research, think about questions that we have, and sort of prepare ourselves so that when we're coming into the boardroom, we're more prepared. We're not looking at something just at the first read. That was really difficult when we used to do that, because I think it would catch staff off guard too, as well, as we're trying to pepper questions right in an open session. It's not easy to do. So I just want to say too, I really appreciate staff on this. Superintendent has told me that the staff appreciates it, but we also know that we still have some work to do on that too, because we need to also meet our deadlines around that. So if we've got a deadline for questions, we need to honor that as well. I think that is something that we have to work in terms of changing our behavior so that we can make sure that we're not creating a whirlwind where we don't need a whirlwind. We need to be really thoughtful about that process, because this is a team effort. This is about being in partnership with the district. And we need to be better stewards of that as well. So, but I do want to say thanks to the staff that have received those questions and get information to us timely. It's really been very helpful. Really appreciate when there's links to other documents or information that can really spell it out for us. So thank you there. So we have agreement. We're still at a 0 there, right? Because we have some things that we need to work on. All right. Another section is unity and trust. And this is the board will lead with one voice in its pursuit of the goals. Board Member Peterson, your thoughts on this one?
Oh, I think we are at a 0. I mean, we're working on adopting policies, and I think there's going to be a lot of discussion. I think we are very much still in process and have some very serious conversations in front of us.
I see heads nodding in agreement there.
Yeah, the document that we'll be discussing at the policy meeting on the 7th, I think specifically addresses the board has not adopted policies that establish, the board I hate the negative. We will be discussing a board operating procedure document. So I think we're working on it. We're getting there, but we're still at a 0.
Okay. And I'm excited about getting to that, because I think that will add some clarity. And I think about the election and new board members coming in, how wonderful it's going to be to have it spelled out that way. I mean, I know as a board member who came into this process, not necessarily everything neat for us in a place. So I think this will help us with our governance structure and also just add that coherence to that. So it's a good start.
Our attendance is good.
Our attendance is excellent. Yes. It is. I mean,
Even when people are on cruises, they still
even when people are on cruises.
still come in.
Who are they talking to?
I wanted to point out something for the public. We're going to have some good discussions around and good clarifications around conflict of interest. And I'm looking forward to that. So, yeah.
Great. All right, the last section is the board will invest time and resources. This is continuous improvement. The board will invest time and resources toward improving its focus on the goals. And how did members evaluate themselves on this? I guess I've not spoken up on a score. Board Member Gonzalez, you haven't spoken up on a score.
We have good attendance.
Yes, you have good attendance, but
I give us a 0 on this one also, primarily because we're not to the point of tracking our time or tracking costs of our time in the board meetings. But we are doing self-evaluations.
yes, we are. We are doing self-evaluations, which is really important. I think it's important for the public to know too, that part of this is, tracking the estimated annual cost of staff time invested in governance during its annual self-evaluation. So, we know that when we create Whirlwind or we create that, it's also a cost to the district to do that because we take you off of something else to get prepared for this and give us other information. And we need to be thoughtful about that too. So how are we staying, the course and also getting the materials and the things that we need for continuous quality improvement? We've got a commitment to that, but also that we're investing wisely in terms of the time and how we're utilizing everyone's time towards progress toward our goals and our interim goals. Any other comments? Does anyone have any comments or reflections in terms of just, year in SOFG, thoughts on that, where and how you're feeling about, this process and what it's meant for us so far or what it's meant for you personally?
I'll add just like a short comment. That's something that popped out when I was reviewing this and I started, but I think it bears to be repeated, where it's on page 2 at the bottom. It says the goals and interim goals will challenge the organization and will require change in adult behaviors. Oh, look at you. You circled. Yeah. So I think if that's something we keep at the forefront of all of our decisions, like we can't do things the way we did it in the past and really intentionally make that shift, it'll help us move forward.
I guess I'll be a good social worker and punt that back to you. Have you felt challenged?
I
as a
have,
board member?
because for me, I think I'd like to do it's caused me to pause. I'll say that.
Okay.
Because many times I want to do things now and be quick and move forward. And for here, obviously you have to collaborate with other people. And it's not just about a decision maker, but multiple being involved. So it's caused me just to be a little bit more patient in the process. And that's hard, but we're making progress.
Any other reflections? Go ahead, Board Member Peterson.
I'll go. So I've been thinking back about the community input that we had when we developed our goals. And certainly, without a doubt, people care about kids coming out of school being very literate and very mathematically competent and, all of these other things. But the other thing that we heard, and I think we talked some about this needing to be in our guardrails, but I'm not sure if we are taking it to heart. One of the things that we heard very loudly from the community was that they didn't want test scores to be the only measure by which kids are evaluated, that they wanted students to be seen as individuals and instructed in that way. And they didn't want to go back. And I think this was certainly not absolute. And there were people who will live and die by test scores. But I think that overall the community spoke very loudly about wanting to see children experiencing their education and learning in a way that is different from the kinds of high stakes testing that we had lived through for about 10 years. And I think we wanted to have that attitude reflected in the guardrails. But what I fear, as soon as we have a goal with a numerical outcome and that the goals are leading, that the things that we heard that are supposed to be reflected in the guardrails start getting pushed aside. Experiential learning, project-based learning, how classrooms function and how students are seen in the classroom. And I think it's something that we need to be aware of.
And I think that's part of the whole process of monitoring, right? Because we're going to be doing things on an interim basis and they're going to be bringing information to us. I mean, I think that's the role of the board, is to continue to hold that value, and how do we see it reflected in the way that the work's being presented. I think that's when the work that we need to be doing is not so much on those technical and tactical questions, but it's really around the strategies. Like, how is the strategy going to be reflective of, you know, the ways that we can assure that children are experiencing that, you know, that opportunity in a different way. And it's not just about the test score, but how do we also draw that? How do we draw to that outcome using other strategies? And I think that's the key to it. So that's going to be the important side, I think, of where the board is going to be. And you know, and I understand that there may be pressure at the classroom level or at that level to look at it just really, you know, myopically from just the test score, just the piece that need to do. But I'm hoping with the strategic plan and the roadmap of how we're going to get there and some of the strategies that they're going to put in there, that it's going to sort of blend and they're going to be able to speak a little bit more about that. And I think the first practice session was a good session, because I think we could see some of those things in there where, you know, there was some questions around strategy, but we were starting to see kind of the thoughts about why that was picked and why and how it could lead to that particular outcome. But it was incumbent on us to ask the harder question of, like, what is the strategy that's really going to get us there? So I think that's where our role comes in, I think, in really holding that value. Board Member Gonzalez, you're like shaking your head. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
I agree.
You agree? You're being so amenable tonight. I was like, just agree. Okay.
I do have something to add.
Mhm.
And it's a concern that I've had. Since looking at the summary that our consultant Ashley Paz put together. So our newcomer population are the parents who attended the newcomer community engagement. And I believe the tribal leaders were really clear about a global awareness education, right? Critical thinking skills that they described as being aware of self in the world. They referenced world literature, variety in that represented their voices. But the tribes also they brought up critical thinking. And we can't allow those ideas to be eclipsed. And I am concerned about not honoring those voices, because they're important. They're part, I mean, we reference Martinez Yazzie, and part of that is very clearly multicultural education, but paying attention to those 4 protected groups that we reference in our goals. So it's a big lift.
Yeah. So it has you a little concerned. That's okay. Concern is good. That means we still have work to do for ourselves as well. Board Member Jackson, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, well, I think because your question was, how has this process helped us to reflect on what we do as a board? And what I have really, really appreciated about this work over the past, year and a half, year total, right? is it really delineates what is board work and what is administration work, and what is our role and what is the role of the administration. And it has been really helpful. I think there's a tendency of, oh, we've got to be involved in everything, but it really helps to understand, like, we do the governing work, and then we have to trust the administration. We have to trust the superintendent. We have to trust the people that he hires to then use their expertise, honestly, to then deliver upon the goals that we have set forth. And so I just think this is going to be so helpful moving forward, to remember that we have to trust what you guys do. You know what the goals are, you know what the guardrails are, and you have a strategic plan. And so we're here to govern, we're here to monitor, and we have to have that separation, which is also, I think, going to be really important as we move forward. Like your editorial said, actually, yeah, like it just dawned on me as we move forward, right? Like, this is 5 years. This is what this is going to look like, and this is what the new role of the board is, and that's to govern. So I've really appreciated the work for that.
So I was gonna tap Board Member Tapia Romero. So it's like your little motto that you learned. It's like, with your, what was it?
Oh, with your, oh, darn, yeah, your hard work and my support.
Word, yes. With your hard work and our support, our goal is to get there. So that's the mantra for us too, is really also letting some of this go, which I think has been really helpful, in trusting our experts, and treating you like experts too, and treating you like the professionals that you are, so that we can entrust the collective knowledge out there about the experts knowing how to get to the goal, to get to the end product. We've just set the vision and where we want to go. And so working there, and I'm the same with Board Member Tapia Romero. I think it's about patience. And I really have, what I appreciate is that that's what this process has done for us as board members, but it's also brought, for me as a board member, is it has focused what I know, what my lane is. And I love that we're having conversations about student outcomes, and we're not having just these other conversations, but really talking about how we're getting there, and what are the outcomes that we're seeing, and where we're headed and what we're doing. That's the part that makes me really excited. So I'm really grateful for that. All right. So what I see as we add up our totals here, I see that we have a total of 15 points for our status of where we are. But, a numerical score doesn't mean that we haven't done some hard work. We're continuing to do this process, and it is a continuous process. And so as we're continuing to improve, the district's continuing to improve as well. We know that not everybody's going to be scoring at 100% totally right off the bat. We're in this all together, and that's the goal. That's the culture we're setting, is that we're in this process to learn and to continue to do the best that we can around this rubric and around the goals and the guardrails that we set for ourselves. So with this, I actually need consideration for approval of this, and I need a motion for our Q3 eval.
I will move for approval of the APS Board of Education Student Outcomes Focused Governance Self-Evaluation of the Year Q3.
And I'll second. This is Peggy.
All right. So we had first from Board Member Gonzalez, second from Board Member Mueller-Aragon. Let's go ahead and have a roll call on that.
Peggy Mueller-Aragon.
Yes.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Yes.
Barbara Peterson.
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Yolanda Montoya Cordova.
Yes. All right. Our next item for discussion is our community engagement ad hoc committee is going to talk about some of the activities that we have planned coming up. This is board members, Courtney Jackson is heading this committee, and board members Danielle Gonzalez and Josefina Dominguez are part of this.
Yes. So we hit the ground running, and we were appointed 2 weeks ago. At the last board meeting, we met Thursday. We met the day after. Our objectives of this committee, as set forth by the board, is to, one, create a 2-year plan for community outreach that will be a follow-up to last year's student outcomes focused governance listening sessions. If you'll recall, we went out to the community to ask them what their vision and values were for our students. It is also to share the goals and the guardrails and the strategic plan and how we plan to achieve those goals in cooperation with the administration. We are also going to use this opportunity to seek input on characteristics from the community for our next superintendent. And then the second overall objective is to create a standard process for community engagement. Again, we're going to create a calendar for the next 2 years, but we also want to create a standard process so that, again, we have standards as we're moving forward so that as the board turns over, we still have that in place. So currently our most pertinent objective right now is to work on a community summit. This is going to be a really cool event. So starting on Tuesday evening, August 30th, August 29th. August 29th, we're going to have a community enchilada dinner at Albuquerque High. We are going to invite everybody, but specific invites are going to go out to those who participated in the community listening sessions. And the point of this, again, is to introduce the community. You know, we told the community we were going to set goals. We told the community we were going to set guardrails. And we told the community that we were going to set a strategic plan for Albuquerque Public Schools. And we've done all that in conjunction with the administration. And now it's time to celebrate. We've worked hard. We've done a lot of work over the past 1.5 years. And so we're going to celebrate that. So we're going to have a big enchilada dinner on August 29th. And then the next morning, we're going to have a VIP breakfast and then a summit. And the community summit is really, again, going to highlight, to kind of have individual discussions as to what the goals, the guardrails, and the strategic plan do, as well as use this as an opportunity to start to bring back characteristics that we want to see for our next superintendent. So that is all in the works. That is the pertinent work that we are doing right now. And the invites are going to go out this week. So start looking in your inbox. We know media is on there. So Esteban, look for your invite. So the summit will be held at Bonifacio. And we're really looking forward to this. We've worked hard. This is a celebration. So we're excited about that. So that is our very first community outreach event that is coming up really quickly. And then again, the next thing as part of our objective was to kind of create an overall plan. And I think Board Member Dominguez has some updates on how that plan is going.
And we're just in the preliminary stages here. There was a brief meeting and got a sense for what worked last year and what tweaks need to happen to the system we used. Wow, that was a year ago in October. So what we do know is that the community engagement events will begin mid-October again, and we're going to try to wrap them up before Thanksgiving. And you hit on something that's important. We're going to have to figure out a way to make the community engagement systemic. There was a great idea by Board Member Gonzalez that maybe we devote board meeting time consistently, monthly, to get feedback. So that's an idea, one idea. But this 2-year plan will be posted, and And it's in its preliminary stages. So more
Yeah.
work on that.
Yeah, and right now we're meeting weekly so that we can get the summit nailed down. And then we'll transition to a more substantial 2-year plan discussion. Board Member Gonzalez, do you have anything to add that I did not touch on?
You did a fantastic job of covering the work of the committee so far. The only thing I would add is one of the themes sort of undergirding the conversations is that this is the community's plan. It's the community's goals, it's the community's values, it's the community's guardrails. And as we have changes, as we have elections, as we bring in a new superintendent, things are going to be changing in the district, but the community developed this plan, the community owns this plan, and the community will need to continue to own it in partnership with us. So a big part of it is really thinking through partnership and collaboration opportunities so that we're not saying, hey, we developed this plan and look at it, but we're saying, hey, we all developed this together and we're in it together and we're going to implement it together. So I think really just thinking through how we continue to thread that theme into all of the work during all of this transition and change that's going to be happening across the community in the next year.
I love the way you tie things up with a bow. Thank you. So any questions?
I have a quick question. So I'm so on the dinner, because I know I mean my head went immediately to so we obviously are going to have a capacity at a particular venue. So it's not like it can't just be like, yay, everybody come. I mean, I think we also have to think about capacity, correct? I mean, so I'm just thinking of that because we've got the journal here and I was like, I just immediately went there and I got a little bit anxious about that. So, there's definitely going to be like an invitation and a process for that. So that, because I'm thinking about like our poor Dr. Blakey back there who's kind of going, wait, like, where are we going to have this? We're going to have to be at Wilson Stadium or something, it's like, so to be thoughtful about that process too. I just want to make sure that we're there, but we are going to have a celebration of some sort and there will be an opportunity for the community to participate in that. And then I think with the community engagement events that are going to be slated in the fall, it'll be a continuation of that celebration too. So there'll still be opportunities for other families to attend. Not everybody's going to be at this one big giant event because I can imagine, I'd like to think, I'm a positive thinker. So I like to think that it's going to be, everybody's going to want to come, but we don't have like the convention center. So we have to kind of think.
Maybe we pivot on August 28th, Dr. Blakey. I don't know.
It just makes me nervous. That's all. And that's the only thing I have to say. An RSVP
on the e-bite for exactly for that particular reason. So we have a capacity of 200 right now.
All right.
And so good problems to have. Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be a great problem to have, but I just got nervous.
But that's exactly why we included RSVPs so that we could keep track of the numbers.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, great.
Any other? Oh, and real quick before we move on, I really want to thank Ms. King, Dr. Albright, Ms. Barnhill, for helping us with this. I'm sure it sometimes feels like we are steamrolling, but it's, it's important to bring the community into it. And so I appreciate the help that you have given. And Ms. Barnhill, if you're listening, which I think you are, thank you so much. And Dr. Albright, I know you're listening, so thank you.
Great. Okay, so lots of good news to report out that we have coming up in this process for continued engagement with the community. And under the student outcomes focused governance, it's continuous. It's not like one and done. So when we went out to the community last year, we were real intentional in that we said, this isn't going to be the only time we come out. This is going to expect this as a new way. And this is board work. This is us going to the community, going out and soliciting this input and getting that feedback to us so that we can also roll it up and it will become part of our evaluations. It'll become part of the conversation as we go through this process and hopefully start to share with everybody through the board meetings, this understanding of where our community is and what we're listening to them say. So we don't go just at the beginning of a strategic plan at the end, but it's a continuous process so that they're also can ask questions at that time about where monitoring is, where we are, what's the status. So I envision it as this continuous loop of this two-way opportunity for communication about where the district is, and we can start to gain, I think, some trust also around the work that we're doing. So good work. You guys got there like fast and furious, but I appreciate that. And any other discussion or concerns on this? If not, we can move on. All right. So our next action item is a presentation on the negotiated agreements. And Mr. Torgerson, Chief of Human Resources and Legal Support Services, and Dr. Valerie Hoos, Executive Director for Labor Relations. It looks like we also have, God, I feel bad because I don't know Nathan's last name. I know him by Nathan.
The lawyer.
The lawyer. Oh, he's going to sit in the background and just kind of whisper in their ear. So thank you so much for being here to present on the negotiated agreements and where we are.
Great. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Elder. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm here with Dr. Hoos, APS's chief negotiator. We're here to provide an update, a brief, but before I get into that, I want to thank also the negotiating teams that were part of this work over 5 months. As I mentioned to the board, oftentimes it's not fun. It's not all that exciting. It's kind of grind work, but we got through it. So thank you to all the folks that are part of that. They know who they are. Some of them are here tonight. Dr. Bernstein is here as well. She's the president of ATF. We also have Paul Aguilar. He's the president of CWA. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Hoos for the brief presentation.
Good evening, President Montoya Cordova, Superintendent Elder, and board members. It's nice to see you all this evening. I wanted to provide you just a brief overview of the changes in the APS ATF negotiated agreement. We did provide you the documents ahead of time so that you could look those over. But we did want to give a brief overview of the changes. There was a lot of cleanup language that was noted in the overall document. And I would like to emphasize that this year, we primarily focused on the interests that were developed by the management team and by the ATF team. So as a brief overview of the changes for ATF, I did not bring my glasses, so I need to bust out the big paper. We updated the preparation time language to ensure that all teachers are able to receive their appropriate prep time. We established a site supervision stipend to ensure that duty is covered. We increased differentials for special education head teacher, athletic directors, and coaches. We updated language for the special education overload compensation specifically for pre-K teachers. We suspended the teacher leader facilitator program. We did create a new MOU regarding restorative practices and implementing nonviolent crisis intervention training for educators. We also created a new MOU to expand the work of the SQT, or Supporting Quality Teacher Committee, to work on resources that support standard-based teaching. And finally, we updated the salary matrices to reflect an increase in contract days and the 6% increase for salaries. And with that, we stand for any questions you may have.
Okay, so thank you so much. There was no other updates or anything on the other agreements that you had at this time, so everything was okay on those?
Yes, that's correct. Do you want me to share the presentation for CWA fans and
Yes.
maintenance and operation? Okay.
Yes,
great.
we were gonna go through all of the presentations at this time first.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So with us this evening, we do have Paul Aguilar, Philip Cerna, and Alvaro Rivera. I forgot your last name for 10 seconds. They are the executive committee for CWA, and they represent the members of maintenance and operation and food and nutrition services. So because my brain works linearly, I will talk about them in alphabetical order. We'll talk about food and nutrition services first. So when we are not in a full contract year, as we were with fans this year, we typically focus on wages and a handful of issues or articles. Most years we focus on wages and 2 articles. So this year we we did just that, and we increased the guaranteed hours for the general helpers or class 1 workers and cook bakers class 4 workers for the school year, and included language for what that looks like over summer programs. We implemented a 6% hourly rate increase. We changed the longevity language to say that each employee earns 15 cents per year on top of their hourly rate after they have been with the district for 5 years. We increased the shoe allowance to $100 from $80 and established a procedure for employees to receive their shoes. We updated language regarding pay dates. We updated the family member definition and added an additional holiday to include the day after the New Year's Day observed to exchange for a previously implemented bonus day for attendance.
Okay.
Okay, so that was with fans. And then we had a full contract year for maintenance and operations. I really need my big one for this one.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah, we need a big one too.
I know, I'm sorry. I was trying really hard to fix everything on one slide each. So as I stated, this was a full contract year. We updated the family member definition, updated leave days, in that we converted the current language from days to hours. We established some new LAP, it's labor advancement program positions. So the labor advancement program is it's a grow your own for our employees. We updated language to match current practice for placement into new positions. We implemented a 6% hourly rate increase. We established that substitute custodians will be paid mileage because they go to different schools every day. We increased the uniform allowance to $220 from $200. We increased the safety shoe allowance to $200 and established a procedure for receiving the shoes. We identified hard to fill positions that have been vacant for over a year and implemented increased the starting rate for that to attract and retain employees. We clarified the overtime language for holiday work. We updated the compensatory time language so that if an employee does compensatory time and then they transfer to a new position, they are able to take that time with them. We did create an MOU for the substitute custodians and expectations around their employment in terms of, once they're hired in the district, they have 2 months before we would like them to become full-time employees. We did write an MOU regarding limited furniture movement and identified what that looks like. And then we did remove several MOUs from the document.
Okay.
And with that, we stand for any questions you may have.
All right. So we have a total of I'm losing track. 2 agreements? 3 agreements, right? 3 agreements that we have. So I know that there was a lot of questions that were already posed and we had that opportunity to ask that. And I still believe that we still have some questions that we need to address. And so Board Member Gonzalez, go ahead with, because what we're going to do at this time, I'd like to call just for a brief executive session so that we can make sure we don't bust up or mess up anything around the bargaining process. And so I would really like to entertain an opportunity just to go to an executive session to ask final questions, make sure that we're okay and we can complete this.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Education consider convening an executive session as authorized by the Public Meetings Act, sections 10-15-1 H5 and I1 to discuss bargaining strategy prior to voting on the negotiated agreements.
I'll second that motion.
All right, so we have a first by Board Member Gonzalez, second by Board Member Dominguez. I know with the Z's at the end. Can I have a roll call on this, please?
Peggy Mueller-Aragon.
Yes.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Yes.
Barbara Peterson.
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Yolanda Montoya Cordova.
Yes. Okay, so just for purposes of this, we're going to ask everybody